Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 4 of the Savvy Mom Money Tips series. This series was created with the intention of providing free financial information to those that are seeking to get themselves out of debt, build a financial nest egg, and really over time build wealth. And the purpose for me when I was coming up with the concept was to service single moms. The idea behind my company, Savvy Moms Unite. My whole purpose, after I'd done a ton of research in grad school, was to service middle class single moms. I saw there was very little research done on that group of women, and I thought, what would be something I could do to fill the gap that I saw in terms of services provided to them. A lot of material speaks to women on the opposite end, those that are really in the poverty, on the poverty line, and then those that are pretty well to do. But what about the ones in the middle? What about the ones who are just really trying to figure it out? Um, that is why that was the purpose, that was the sense, that was the passion that I had. It came out of that course, the research course that I took, and I was like, I have to do something about that because I'm one of those moms who's seeking resources. You can't find them. So what do I do? I create my own way to provide that to women like me who was looking for some answers. So every week, my hope is that the series will bring you a chock full of information in a short span of time. So we try to keep it to 30 minutes or under, because granted, it's a ton of information. We don't want to, fire hose you with too much. We want to make sure it's specific and simple enough that you can walk away with some great information. Also, I have a special guest who is a credit specialist, and she's an attorney as well. So she will introduce herself and tell you what she does as her career and her passion. So take it over, Navi.
Thank you, Elke, for having me back on the series again. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And as Elke mentioned, my name is Nabi Subi. People call me Nabi for short. It's a lot easier for most people to pronounce. And I am an attorney as well as a certified credit consultant and a certified credit score consultant. And on the legal side, I do have a legal practice where I draft business contracts and non-disclosure agreements for my clients. A lot of them do have online businesses, and they're online fitness coaches, business coaches, life coaches. Some people think that because they're running an online business and they're not meeting with clients face to face, it's less formal, when in fact that's the opposite. There are actually some additional pitfalls with running an online business when you have clients all over the country. So I make sure that I draft contracts for my clients between themselves and their clients to protect them in that regard. I also do debt settlement and negotiations for my clients. On the credit side, I'm the CEO of Seller Credit Services, which is a credit repair company, and I assist my clients with getting negative items removed from their credit reports, and that helps them to improve their FICO scores. As most of you know, today your credit report is used for everything. If you want to turn on utilities at an apartment, guess what? They're going to run your credit report. If your credit report is good, they'll turn it on with no problem. If you have some credit issues or it's poor, they require a deposit. If you want to get a car loan, a mortgage, you better believe they're going to run your credit report. And if
Mm-hmm.
you get a mortgage and your credit's not that good, then unfortunately they will charge you a high rate of interest. So credit reports used for everything, and not just that, but now for jobs. 1 in 4 Americans had to go through a credit report, or they had to sign off on an authorization to get their credit report run just to get a job. Um, they will not hire you these days unless you agree as part of the application to agree to have your credit report run, because whether it's true or not, most employers are now looking at that to determine whether or not you're going to be a good steward of their business. Right or wrong, they believe that if you don't have a good credit report, you're not going to be a good employee. So it's really more important than ever to make sure you know what's in your credit report and fix any errors, because 79% of those reports contain errors. So chances are, if you've never checked your report, there's an error or two or three or more that could be holding you back from getting a good interest rate, a good job, you name it. That might be the reason why you're not getting where you want to be with your credit. So I help my clients in those areas. And I like to share tips and information that I've learned along my journey, because I've had my ups and downs with credit and money. And I in my journey, I became debt free in December of 2014 after paying off $100,000 worth of debt. So I'd like to share those tips and information with my audience as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, based on what Navi has told you, she is very well versed. She gets it. She understands it. She knows it from a legal side to a personal side. And so, this is why I love having her, because it's good to have that expertise as we offer this information. And so, definitely, towards the end, I like having us, tell you what we offer for services. So if you are interested, you could certainly seek us out for further assistance. So we're just going to jump right in. Tonight's topic will be on credit, and we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we really want to get, sometimes people think credit, and sometimes if they don't understand, they think it's all bad. And truly, it's not all bad. It could be beneficial to you. You just got to know what would be good for you, how to maintain good credit, and what to do in cases where you've run into some trouble and you have to pull back a little bit. So we're gonna talk. That's what's going to be the focus of our talk tonight. And I always like to throw out some statistics just to kind of give people a sense of what is really going on when it comes to credit and debt and understanding that. So a statistic I just pulled up said about, I'm going to grab it directly from the source so I'm not misquoting, but according to the census, they said the average U.S. household carries a debt of $132,158, and of that, approximately 15,000 is credit cards. So that's a significant amount that you are giving to someone else for purchases that didn't need to cost you that much, or just taking on things that, because you didn't have the cash right away, you had to use some form of credit. So it's a significant amount, and with that amount of debt, it can be stressful. So what do you do, and what are some of the things you need to look at? And Nami and I are going to give you some examples. So what does your credit mean to your financial situation? Nabi touched upon this earlier, where she said it could impact your job, it could impact where you live, it could impact, if you can rent cars, if you can, it really will determine a lot in your life now. Before, it really only mattered if you were purchasing a home or a car, mostly, I should say. But now it's almost like every aspect of your life when it comes to money, it's being dictated by your credit. And so why is it important that and I'm going to ask Nabi for you to jump in on this, but why is it important, and what are some positive things that you can have on your credit that will support you in having a good financial future?
That's a great question, Elke. And I actually have a similar statistic. The one I have is that the average American household has credit card debt of about $16,000, which is close to your statistic.
Right.
And that if you have that amount of credit card debt, that's about $2,600 a year in interest payments that you're making.
Wow.
And people like to associate credit cards as a negative, but I'm going to come from it from both standpoints. Credit cards, when used responsibly, can be a positive to you in your credit history and building your credit score, because the reality is, if you pay your credit cards on time, you pay them consistently, that can really help you to build your credit report as well as your credit score. Most people think, well, I don't want to have any credit cards. Credit cards are bad, so I'm not gonna have them. That's gonna make things better for me. I'm gonna have a better credit score. Mm-hmm. It's counterintuitive, but it's actually the opposite. If you don't have any credit cards, you're actually going to have a lower FICO score. That might sound a little bit crazy, but the reality is that 10% of your FICO score is based on something called credit diversity, which is basically different types of credit. So for example, if you have a car loan, that's considered an installment loan. And that means, you have a loan and you pay the same amount every month until that loan goes down, until it's paid off. And that's one type of debt. Now, the other type is revolving credit, which is your credit cards. Your credit cards, you might have different limits for different cards, but let's say you have a limit of $1,000. Well, if you spend $300 in that month and your limit goes down to $700 for what's available to you, you pay that off and it goes back up to $1,000. So that's revolving credit. And the reality is that lenders, businesses, they want to see that you can handle different types of credit. So if you only have one type, like an installment loan, they know that you can pay off your car loan and you can make regular payments, but they don't know how you'd be with revolving credit. So that's why when they look at your FICO score, 10% is based on credit diversity. So it's important to have credit cards as well as installment loans, but you have to make sure that when you're using your credit cards, you do it responsibly, and that you pay them on a regular basis and you pay them off if you're able to, or maintain 30% or less of your actual credit limit. That will help you to not only build your credit history, which is important to your FICO score, but it'll also help you become responsible when it comes to managing money and different types of credit and debt. So if anybody's out there that has no credit cards whatsoever and you think it's going to help you in your FICO score, it's actually the opposite. So make sure you have at least a couple of credit cards and you're using them responsibly, because you will actually get points deducted or not have the maximum score that you could have because you don't have credit.
Yes. No, and you're absolutely right, and I can personally attest to this. When I didn't have enough credit, it actually hurt me. Like, it was hard to get things, it was hard to get approved for stuff, and it could really be detrimental. Like, I think at one point, um, and I've gone through many phases. Like, right out of college, I had 3 credit cards that I hadn't paid, and 2 of them were store cards. One was a regular credit card, the other one was store cards, and I'd spent over the limit, wasn't paying them because I wasn't making much money, and whatever money I was making was going towards stuff for school. So when I got out of college, I was already in debt. So when I went through credit counseling, they closed those accounts, and eventually I paid them off. But I had to start all over again. It was like I had the worst credit in the world, and so then I had to go back and actually get credit cards just to get myself going. So you're right about that. If you don't have anything and you're not maintaining them, it does impact you negatively. But I had to learn the hard way. I wish I had like Nabi back when I was 24. I probably would have had a much easier time with but we all grow and learn as you know. But it really was fascinating to see that, because my understanding was credit cards are bad after I went through my issue. But
Right.
then again, it's like, no, you need it to build history.
Exactly. And that's the pro of having credit, but we also need to talk about the con that comes with
Yes.
credit and credit cards. Now, a big con is the interest rate. If you have a high APR interest rate, then that could be a danger zone, especially if you carry a balance and you're not being responsible with your credit and you're just charging. The thing is, if you carry a balance, well, then that interest rate is going to kick in and you're going to be paying extra on, it's not just what you purchase, but it's now the interest that accrues daily after you've gone beyond your grace period and if you have not paid your bill in full at the end of the month. Now, what a lot of people understand that if they don't pay their bill in full, there's going to be interest charges. People are aware of that. But I think what a lot of people don't realize, or they don't really think about, is that when you don't pay your bill in full each month and you carry a balance, not only are you paying interest on those purchases thereafter, and that interest accrues every day, but people don't realize that on any new purchases, let's say you've ended the month with a balance and now you're on month 2. It's a brand new month. It's the first day of the month. People don't realize that if you make a new purchase on day 1, interest starts accruing right away.
Mm-hmm.
You used to have a grace period of usually 25 to 30 days between when interest would accrue and the purchase. So you could purchase something on day 1 and not pay any interest until either day 25, if you didn't pay it off and you carried a balance, or you paid it off totally, there'd be no interest charge. But if you carried a balance from last month, then guess what? You have no more grace period. Anything that you buy on day 1 of that new month, the first day that you make that purchase, interest starts accruing, and it accrues every day, not just on those new purchases, but on the old purchases as well, which is why a lot of people don't realize, why is my credit card balance growing? Well, because most people buy more than one thing in a new month, but they carry a balance. So every new thing that they buy that month interest starts growing from that first purchase date, and it goes every single day. So now you wiped out your grace period for interest, and now you're just having interest accrue on everything, the old as well as the new. That's why your balance grows faster when you carry a balance. People don't really think about that, but it's a big reason why. And if you have a high APR, it's just going to balloon and then kind of skyrocket, and then you end up paying all this amount in interest, and you're barely making a dent in the true principal, the original purchases. So that's one of the cons that comes with credit.
You are so right. So it wasn't until so I like I said, I've gone through my process of learning with my credit, and so it didn't really hit me until I went to purchase a new bed, and the company that I purchased for was giving like 18 months, free interest if you charged it on their credit card if you got approved. So I was like, okay, you know what? At the time, I already kind of understood if you don't pay the credit card off each month and carry a balance, you're paying more on the purchase, right? So I'm like, 18 months, I could take care of this amount.
Yeah.
And so it's $2,000. But then I fell into the trap of just paying them a little bit more than what I owed on the monthly. And so when I started to see I wasn't getting to the 18-month end, I think I was 2 months shy before it was about to hit, and when I almost missed it, they charged me $900 in interest because they were still waiting. They said if you didn't pay it in 2 months, they were going to charge you $900 in interest or whatever the percentage was. So when I saw what that interest was, I literally found the money and was like, I'm paying this bet off. And that's when it really occurred to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I would have paid almost half of what I owed on the bed in interest.
Alone.
So it made me really consider like this when people are saying pay off the balance each month or work harder to pay it off faster, it makes sense because that interest is nuts. Like when I saw that, I was like, there's no way they're going to get an extra $900 just because they let me have it on hold for 18 months.
Exactly.
It's
a killer. It'll get you every time.
And right.
It kind of sneaks up on you. You don't think about it. It's just there. It's there. But you don't think about the impact that interest accruing daily can have. Just like it can make you a lot of money if you have interest invested in a stock or something. You can do the opposite when it comes to your credit card debt. It'll be a negative. Something will be growing, but not in the way you want it to grow.
Right.
That's another negative. But if we go back to a pro of using credit and credit cards, especially, is if you are the victim of, let's say, identity theft, or somebody steals your credit card, they make fraudulent purchases.
Right.
If you use a credit card, there are federal statutes that protect you more if you use a credit card than if you use an ATM, bank, or a debit card. The federal statutes, if you're using your credit card, they basically say that for each transaction that's fraudulent, the maximum that you can be charged personally is $50. If you use your ATM or bank debit card, you're not covered by that provision. Normally, your bank will work with you, and hopefully they won't charge you anything for fraud. But you know what? Sometimes you don't discover the fraud right away. Your card's stolen, you don't realize, or it's missing, and then by the time you realize, it's too late. But they're not obligated to work with you. They can literally say, oh, well, you owe us this money because it's not covered by the federal statute. So if you're using your Wells Fargo ATM card to buy something, well, hopefully they'll work with you, but there's no guarantee. If you're using a regular credit card, American Express, or Chase Visa card, then that's covered by the federal statute. So it actually, a pro and a benefit of that is that it does provide fraud protection for you. So that's something that we can look at as a pro when you're using a credit card over, let's say, a bank card or a bank ATM card.
Right. You're so right about that. And I know one other perk sometimes what credit card companies are doing is providing you with a free credit score. which is awesome, and free credit monitoring. I don't think you should pay for that if you don't have to, but if you are in good standing with a card and you're being good about it, having that as an added service is really nice. And then another thing, like if you get points or cash back on purchases,
Yes,
that's really good, like
yes,
gas points, and you can use it
absolutely.
for
Yeah,
purchases is
a
really nice.
benefit because think about it. Yeah,
So
it's you're getting these benefits, whether it's airline miles or
mhm,
discounts at your favorite stores or cash back. You're getting those perks for things that you would normally pay for anyway. But if you paid
right,
cash, you wouldn't get those perks because you're
right,
using the card. You're getting the perks, just for buying things that you would buy normally. As long as you don't go overboard and say, "Hey, I'm getting
right.
these perks, let me charge extra." Right? It's like,
Right, there's a balance that needs to be straight. And with
exactly.
everything, you want the balance, and that's what we mean by the good and the bad. You need
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
assess that. If you know you're someone who has issues with spending, like it's really hard for you, I don't suggest you do more than one credit card. I really think learn to utilize one, be really good with it, develop those really positive habits, and over time, if you think you can push it to something else, then fine. But I always say, like, you really don't need more than one. I think one is can suffice, but because there's other forms of credit you can use. But in terms of like a credit card, I'm not. I don't know what you feel, Nabi, but I'm not a supporter of store cards. I think they have the worst APR,
Yeah,
and what you spend on an item. They might give you an incentive like, if we approve you for the card today, you'll get 20% off, and that's
right.
fine on that day. But if you didn't pay that purchase off within the few weeks, you just paid more than the 20% they gave you off. So
Yes.
it's not worth it. So that's why I'm not a fan of store cards, but you could definitely.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't own any store cards. Back in the day, I used to. I had the Macy's card. I had
Right.
whatever. I owned a few of them, and I was like, wait a minute. Because if you look, if they get you, like you said, at the register, oh, you get 20% off today, or you get this, and we'll email you with specials and all that stuff. And you sign up. But the reality is, those cards, the interest rates are usually very high,
Yes.
and they have sometimes exorbitant, fees if you end up paying late. So
Hmm.
I find that it's not worth it. It's better to use, like we talked about, one of these credit cards that offer rewards, so you are able to get cash back or discounts at your favorite stores. That's much better than some of these uh, store cards that are really not a benefit to you. So I agree with that 100%. And speaking of, fees, that's one of the cons when it comes to credit cards. If you are not being responsible with your credit, then you run the risk of getting charged fees, because if you have missed payments or late payments, then they're going to charge you. And on average, a lot of credit cards companies charge between $25 and $50 per late fee. So if you have two or three credit cards out there that you're juggling and you're paying late, imagine if you're getting charged $25 here, $50 there. In a month, you could be charged, 75, $100 just because you paid your credit cards late. And those fees over time can really add up and they really
Yes,
hurt
yes,
you.
yes.
So, and they just increase your balance as well. So something to think about when you're using credit, you have to make sure you're using it responsibly for those reasons.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's really all about being in control and being smart when it comes to your credit. And this is not the time to you know, play with it, because it really now determines so much for you. And if you're trying to get any job in a financial field, they're going to check your credit. They want to make sure that you can handle money. And if you can't handle
Yes.
it, you want to go to a sales job and your credit sucks, they're not going to really want to consider you strongly. It doesn't feel right all the time, because hey, we all run into issues, and we've all had our learning moments. But what I'm hoping is that we, through our experiences and through our mistakes, we can help you not fall into those same pitfalls, because we're really not taught about credit very early in age. It takes having moments like we've had in our life where it's like light bulb goes off and we're like, oh, That's what's supposed to happen, not this. And if your family members don't have an understanding, then you're sort of the one having to pave the way and be
Yeah.
the teacher sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you said about, having a credit report run for financial jobs, that's absolutely true. But what
Mhm.
we're seeing more and more these days, it's not just for the top level jobs or even
Mhm.
mid-level jobs. Somebody told me recently that they were applying for a job, a part-time job at a gym as a part-time trainer. Okay,
Wow.
they were not applying for a management job. They were not applying to do the books or being an accountant at the gym.
Right.
It was a part-time trainer. Okay, part of the application was they had to fill out a sign a release so that the gym could run their credit report. And if they did not agree to that, then
Right.
guess what? You could not apply for the job. So think about that. That was not any high-level job or position or
Mhm.
around money, but that's what they're doing now because there's a lot of competition for jobs. Part of the way that employers are now able to weed out who they think is the best candidate is to look at your credit report. So even if it's for a part-time job that there's 10 people applying for, they're going to say, well, this person, they have great credentials, but their credit report is not that great. This person's credentials, they're good too, but they have a better credit report. I'm going to go with this person. And that's how they're making hiring decisions these days. So people need to realize that it doesn't matter if you're not in a high-powered position or a mid-level job, they're going to run your credit report for just about everything. And it's important that you know what's in it and that you clean up any issues so you're not put in this category because unfortunately you might be a great employee but they'll never know that because they
Mhm.
have very limited time to find out who you are as a person and rightly or wrongly you're going to say well, if you're not responsible with your own money your own finances you're not going to be a good steward of our business whether you're in charge of money or not you're not going to be a good representative so unfortunately you might be denied a job or even an opportunity because of what's in your credit report.
Right. Absolutely. And if the businesses are, private, they can make any decision they want about hiring practices. So it's like you're at their mercy
Yep.
in terms of how you are considered as a candidate. So it's something to really think about. We really, like I said, I'm a big supporter of you doing whatever it takes to get on track when it comes to your credit. There's a lot of information out there for you to work with. If you are stuck and really don't know what to do, hire someone who's well qualified, has the background, knows what they're talking about, and can support you on repairing your credit. Nabi is someone who I would trust and definitely would send your way because I do think she definitely on the personal side and did just as a experience and expertise. That's where it comes from. You want someone who understands it. I'm not, one thing I will say is I'm not a big fan of debt consolidation programs. I think they
Me
set you back
neither.
too far. And that's not what I'm suggesting here at all. As this platform, I don't suggest it. And Nabi, you're shaking your head. I'm sure you know why I'm not. It's just it
Absolutely.
sets you back way too far. I think there's ways to get out of debt without having to go through that process, and Nabi would be a great source. So Nabi, if you don't mind, because we're at the 30-minute mark, so I want to make sure before we jump off that you are able to give people your information so that if they are seeking ways to repair their credit, they can reach out to you.
Sure. Um, you can get in touch with me at my website. It's Stellar Credit Services. That's STELLAR, stellarcreditservices.com. You can get in touch with me on the website. You can sign up for a consultation. And I'm also offering a complimentary confidential credit call for anybody that's on this segment. And you can go to, it's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/credit call to get your complimentary confidential credit consultation to see where you're at and maybe what we can do to help you to get where you want to be. So that's my information, and I'd be happy to talk to any of you. And Elke, I want to thank you again for having me on your show. I think you're doing a wonderful service for the community and single moms out there. You are an amazing resource for them. I'm honored to be on your show again.
Oh, thank you so much, Nabi. I appreciate your support of the series and just jumping on whenever I've asked you. Like, it's been awesome to have your expertise, and like I said, I'm learning as well. So having this information, you cannot understand how awesome it is to have this information at your fingertips. So definitely take advantage of Nabi's service. It's going to be so great, so helpful to you, and that consultation is there for you to see if this is where you want to go. Because I don't think you should engage in a financial partnership or process until you're fully mentally ready for that. It's going to take you time. It's going to take you getting outside yourself and uncomfortable. And if you're not ready for that, you won't be a success. But so look at the consultation as a barometer to see where you are. So take advantage of that. And when I post the replay for this video, I also post links for you to get in touch with Nabi. Also, I want to make sure if you want to get in touch with me, I am here. I am on various social media platforms. I have a Facebook group called Savvy Moms Unite. That is for single moms. That's where I provide, information based on career or financial. And I'm mostly dealing with budgeting and saving and just being smart with your money and also thinking about long-term wealth building. That's why this platform is here for. But that's what my focus is. I don't talk too much about credit because, like I said, that's not my area of expertise. I know the basics, but I don't know the depth, and that's why Nabi would be a good source for that. I also have a website called www.savvymomsunite.com, and that has all the information on my company and the services I offer. I do one-on-one financial coaching as well as one-on-one career coaching for those that are looking for more in-depth service. I provide a 30-minute consultation as well. So if you're interested in that, just go to the website to sign up for that 30-minute consultation. And check us out next Monday for the session. The next Monday session will actually focus on life insurance. Something that we don't really talk about in our community too often and don't really take very seriously. So I have a owner of her who's a life insurance broker. She will be joining us. Her name is Cynthia Pope, and she'll be on next Monday, 7 o'clock here on YouTube Live. So check out Facebook, join the groups, and join Nabi's group, Financial Gold Stars, as well, so you can obtain some information on what we're doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love you all, and thanks again for joining us. Have a wonderful and blessed night. Thanks, Nabi.
Thanks, Elke. Bye.